Welcome back here to Fox 5's On the Hill Live this Sunday morning. You know, Montgomery County's council just passed a zoning change that's going to allow developers to build multi-unit homes in certain traditionally single-family neighborhoods. It's being called the missing middle plan, and there are a lot of questions about how the plan is worked. We are pleased to welcome back Montgomery County Executive Marc Elrich. Good to have you back here in studio with us. This is an idea that regionally has been of note. Alexandria, Virginia has had this debate. Arlington, Virginia has had this debate. You are now experiencing it in Montgomery County. You have questions and concerns about it.
Yeah, because, and I'm glad you mentioned Arlington, because it kind of tells the difference between why Montgomery County doesn't have to go there and why Arlington had to go there. Arlington and other jurisdictions that were basically built out, and Arlington was built out when they faced how do we grow in the future here. Arlington had no path to grow but to go back and revisit the built environment. You look at Montgomery County, right now we've got over 30,000 units that have been approved. All a developer has to do is pull a building permit, so no one's asking if you got a housing shortage and a crisis, how come approved units aren't being built? And we've got master plans that contain a capacity for 85,000 more units. The Council of Governments wrote us a letter and said, in order to meet your housing targets, you do not need to rezone the county. So people have taken this idea, and it seems that it's taken off in other places, and they're using that as a reason to open up stuff in Montgomery County they don't need to open up. The big thing is that, you know, they did this all based on this general plan called Thrive, which they did during COVID when nobody could actually come out to meetings and talk about it. And they promised people who were upset by some of the stuff in Thrive that everything would be implemented through master plans. The council and the planning board have refused to use master plans and involve the community. So I sat on these committees, so I know what they were used to be like.
You recently announced a massive development project for Bethesda North. It's near a metro station. A lot of the big development in Montgomery County has been around metro stations.
Yes.
If they start building these multi-unit houses in neighborhoods that aren't exactly close to metros, how is that going to upend not only traffic patterns but congestion and density in neighborhoods?
Well, we were supposed to be building, and again, COG reinforces, supposed to be building around metro stations and activity centers. That's what the master plans focus on, development around activity centers. If you pull it out of the activity centers and stretch it out along the roads, you have no control over it. You damage the development of the activity center. To be blunt, single-family homes are going to attract the higher income. The activity centers were supposed to attract mixed income. If you bleed the higher incomes out of the activity centers, you're not going to have the mix of population and incomes in the activity centers that you want. Just if you move the population period out of there, you won't get the density that you want.
What people might not realize, though, that while you are the county executive for the biggest county in the state of Maryland, there's not a whole heck of a lot you can do about this because the county council passed. Why can't you, as county executive, affect a zoning change by the county council?
Because I have no authority to veto. Trust me, I would veto this thing in a heartbeat. But I can't. I have no authority over land use, and it's unusual. The other jurisdictions in the state do not limit the county executive this way. But in Montgomery County, the county executive is unusually limited.
I want to ask you about some of the developments in the federal government lately. We've gotten some new regional information on jobless rates, and it is increasing. And it's been pointed back at a lot of the federal losses. There was recently a study of which states are the most dependent on the federal government. New Jersey was last on the region for some reason. Maryland, Virginia were in the top 10. How concerned are you about what's going to happen in Montgomery County as the full impact of these federal layoffs take effect?
You know, for years, Montgomery County considered itself recession-proof because we were so dependent on the federal government. That has stopped being true a number of years ago, and with the changes that are being proposed now, and they will go into effect in October. You know, the courts blocked them from firing people or shutting down things that have been appropriated. There is no appropriation for all these jobs in the October budget. So in the October budget, these jobs go, and it's a lot of jobs.
Is it now contingent on Montgomery County, though, to start attracting private businesses to come into the county in greater numbers. This was one of the things we heard often in Washington, D.C. during their debate on the Commander's Stadium, is that they needed to replace that revenue.
So we've been actively doing that. I mean, my administration has spent a lot of money bringing companies here. We've been more than willing to incentivize people to come here. We've added new programs to bring people here. We've been trying to encourage startups to, put down roots in Montgomery County so they can grow here. We've recognized the need to diversify. We've also, we've been pushing things beyond life sciences. I've put a lot of effort into life sciences, but we're also doing, we have satellite tech in the county. So we've been pushing the tech side of the county and light manufacturing. So we recognize Montgomery County can't be what it was. It has to be something more than what it was before.
Well, Montgomery County mapped the human genome. Maybe you could put that on one of the signs leading into the highway as well. He's Marc Elrich. He's the county executive of Montgomery County, Maryland. We thank you so much
for
joining us this morning.